Laquisha Williams is a world-class woman. Best-selling author, speaker, mentor, and founder of the World Class Woman Network, a premier platform for progressive women designed to inspire personal development and social change. Laquisha believes in the power of connection, collaboration, change, education, and community. She believes every woman can have it all and deserves to live a richer and fulfilling life without compromising their beliefs and morals.
Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. This is your girl, Dr. Laquisha Williams, and I am the creator of the World Class Women Network, where I help successful women to live their best lives from the inside out. Because if you have been following me, I truly believe that you are not winning, really winning, truly winning, if you're not winning from within. Because I believe that all the work that you need to do is from the inside out, because success is an inside job. Joy is an inside job. Peace is an inside job. So welcome. I want to hear you guys, and I want to say Happy New Year. Yes, we are 13 days in, but guess what? If I haven't seen you since last year, I say Happy New Year. I say Happy New Year. So I want you guys to share tonight's segment. Thank you all for joining us here on the World Class Conversations with Laquisha and Friends. And if you are, wherever you are watching us from, I want you to share, comment, post in the chat. Where are you calling and watching us from tonight? Also, we are also viewing live on my YouTube channel, Laquisha Williams TV. So go ahead, y'all can watch it, okay? Listen, I have been doing World Class Conversations for about 5 years now, and we were doing it in person, and we outgrew the space that we were hosting it in every first Thursday right here in South Florida. And it has been so transformational. Hey, Valerie, I see you in the place. Welcome. You're all the way in Miramar, Florida. Welcome. And I was doing these events, and what World Class Conversations is that conversations that unite us and not divide us. Conversations to uplift you and not make you feel sad. Conversations really to empower you. Hey, Deborah Pratt from Freeport, Grand Bahama. 242 is in the place. Yes. We have Joyce Charles from Dallas, Texas. I see you guys been snowing down there. You can bring a little bit of that here to Florida. But I'm so happy to have all of you guys. And let me tell you, we have an amazing guest that is kicking off our World Class Conversations for 2021. Let me tell you, yes, 2020 has caught a lot of us blindsided. But let me tell you, in the pandemic, it's the time for you to pivot. It's a time for you to roar. It's a time for you to soar. It's a time for you to level up. Yes, things may have happened, but it should not knock you off of your game. Okay, we got a lot of Bahamas. 242 is in the place. Juetta, Kara, Nassau, Bahamas. Jackie, Nassau, Bahamas. Paulette Stewart, Eleuthera, Bahamas. Welcome you all for joining us. Donna, Freeport, Bahamas. It's just a little bit of snow, Joycelyn. You can send some of that. You can send some of that to Florida, because it's like 70, 80 degrees here or something like that. So I am so excited. Continue to share this. I want you to share this out to your platforms. I also want you to invite someone, host your own watch party so that they can hear this purposeful conversation that we are talking about tonight. So without further ado, I want to welcome our special guest for tonight. Her name is, and I know you guys are so excited to have her. I got a lot of engagement and of our special guests. So tonight we have Charissa Monroe Wilborn, who is an influential and motivational speaker who is activating action in individuals and organizations across the world, sharing the foundational message of purpose and hope that was instilled in her by her legendary parents, Doctors Miles and Ruth Monroe. Expanding on the knowledge gained at home, Charissa earned several degrees, including a Bachelor of Social Work, Master of Social Work, and Master of Business Administration from esteemed universities. As a licensed clinical social worker, she is able to bring empathy and advocacy to the business principles of development and growth. It is this unique approach that supports her effective work in various nations and sectors with diverse individuals. Charissa has broken beyond the four walls of religion, of the religious realm, and has taken the message of leadership, mentorship, purpose, and valiant hope to other organizations, domains, including social service and government agencies and other leading businesses around the world. Charissa currently serves as the president of the Miles and Ruth Monroe Foundation and vice president of Monroe Global Inc., both of which propel her to add fuel to the fire she is sparking in the hearts and souls of so many. She is president and CEO of Charissa Monroe LLC, a personal brand company that serves to empower lives and help others to define, right, to develop and to deploy their purpose for greatness. She counts it a great honor to lead others into reaching other levels in their lives. Charissa is a new and upcoming author. She is going to be talking about that tonight, of her newly released 31-day devotional, Empowerment for Everyday Living. World-class conversations, family. I want you to welcome the one and only Mistress Charissa Monroe Wilborn to the World Class Conversations show. Welcome, girlfriend.
Laquisha Williams, how are you? Happy New Year. I know everyone I see for the first time is like, how long am I going to be saying Happy New Year, right?
Right.
Happy New Year to you. It has been a pleasure to finally, what I'm going to say, meet you in person.
Yes.
I've been following you for a couple of years, and you have been just a beautiful person doing some great things. And so I am honored to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited. So I know everyone is like asking, or maybe like how I was like, yeah, so like, woo, 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 what's going on with her? Where is she? And I am also a great fan, a follower, and see how you're doing so amazing things and empowering the lives of others. Now, a lot of people who may not know, well, everybody knows. Both of us are PKs. We have so much in common. We are PKs. We are the firstborn, and we are the firstborn female. So could you tell our audience, what was it like growing up as a PK in your home?
So what makes me special on this little picture right now, this frame that I'm seeing, is I'm the only girl, the only daughter, and I'm the oldest. And so it was different growing up as a PK, only because, when the spotlight is on you, there are expectations that people put on you. They have expectations of seeing you mess up. They are watching your every move. So, we went to school, high school, we went to primary school, elementary, and people knew who we were, my brother and I. They knew that we were pastors' kids. And so there was always an eye. Like, we always had to be watching and remembering that people are watching what you do, what you say, how you react. But I will say that my parents did a very, very good job at helping us and teaching us how to be humble, number one, and how to deal with those expectations. And then there was also, as we got older, when you go into college and you just get up into the work world, now you have expectations that you put on yourself. Sometimes just because of who you are, because of the expectations that you know your own parents have of you. The expectation just to be excellent, not perfect, because we weren't expected to be perfect by my parents, although the world expected us to be perfect, but they at least expected us to be excellent. So excellent in our schoolwork, excellent in our grades, excellent at work. Like anything other than excellent or mediocre was not expected, therefore not tolerated. But apart from that, on a lighter note, being the only girl, I wasn't spoiled, but I was a daddy's girl and I was a mommy's girl. Though my brother was also my mom's baby boy, what she would call him. And so we had different relationships with our parents. But even being as PKs, we had rules. There was rules. It wasn't necessarily a strict home, but we did have rules that we had to abide by. There was an order in the home that we had to abide by. So there was no drinking, there was no smoking, there was no cursing, there was none of that. It wasn't tolerated in the home. Now, what you did outside of the home that they couldn't see, totally up to you. And then you had to be careful because there were people watching that was going to be the same people that would turn around and report. So there was always this, but you have to understand, my brother and I were typical children. We were typical teenagers, typical college students. So did we do things that our parents probably would not have appreciated? Of course we did. We're not perfect. But my parents did a very good job at training us up as well. And so, when the Bible talks about train up a child in the way that he should go, so when he's old, he will not depart from it. It doesn't mean that they won't mess up. It doesn't mean that they won't fall. It doesn't mean that they won't stray. But because of the teaching and the foundation that is there, the investments that were made from when they were small, there's always going to be that to fall back on. There's always going to be that training that we are going to have, that we're going to remember one day. But otherwise, as PK's daddy was still daddy. So he was a pastor, but he was still daddy to us. Mommy, she was a pastor, but she was still mommy to us. And they made sure that those lines were never muddied. Like, I will forever respect my parents because as well known, as profound as they were as pastors, they never muddied the lines of pastor, businessman, and then parent, mother, father role. And so, but one of the other great perks that we had, Dad was a well-known traveler. So I got to travel the world from baby.
Right.
So, there are a lot of PKs that they dreaded that time because it was strict and I was sheltered. And I don't have that. Personally, I don't have that testimony. Like, I enjoy traveling with them. We weren't expected to be preachers. We weren't expected to take the spotlight. Dad didn't expect us to follow in his footsteps. He just expected us to figure out, find out, discover what your purpose is and do that, whatever that is. And he allowed us to do that.
That's so good. That's so good. And I'm sure if we were to pass the mic around to different PKs, they can say the same thing as far as the expectations of others and what others wanted you to do. But like my parents as well, like they allowed us to spread our own wings so that we can figure out what is it that we want to do, right? So I thank you for sharing that. How did you know that you were different from your peers? Because especially with parents like ours, and especially I can't even compare it really, but in Nassau and your dad being all around the world, people knew who our parents were. People knew who your parents were. How did you know? Well, when did you find out that, hey, I'm a little different? How did you find that out, that you were different from your peers?
Now, are you talking different in the sense of status or different in the sense of?
Well, yeah, in status, yes.
Again, my parents did a very good job at making sure that even though that was our status, it wasn't this debilitating, like we had the opportunity to be children. We had the opportunity to be teenagers. We had the opportunity to go through adulthood learning just like other kids. We didn't lack anything. Our needs were met. But we were allowed to be children. We were allowed to go out and watch movies. We were allowed to go to dinners. At the age of 17, 18, we were allowed to date, nothing before that. Like, we were allowed to do these things. And we were allowed to have friends. Like, one thing my parents did not stop is us making friends. And our friends they trusted their training enough to know that whatever friends we choose would be friends that we can bring around the house. Because if we can't bring you around the house, I mean, really and truly, you can't be a friend. So, one of the things that I will always remember is, like, we weren't necessarily sheltered. We were allowed to just be. So because of that, my brother and I developed friendships and connections with people who were actually in statuses, and I'm going to say that were maybe not on our level, in other words. So they weren't the PK status. They may have not been from the very, very astute status. They may not have been from the very rich or wealthy status that he and I may have come from. Like, those were a lot of our friends. Mm-hmm. And we had a ball. So what we did was we brought them into our home. We rented their home. There was never this, oh, well, you only live in a 1-bedroom, but I live in a 4-bedroom, so I can't come to you, but you can come to me. Never. Like, we had we did not even see poor. We didn't see you're different. Like, all we know is you have a connection, we have a connection, and let's do this. So the humility that he and I walked in from then and even now was very, very much present. So even when you say, how did we respond to different? How did I know we were different? We understood where we came from. We understood our roots. We understood what was expected of us. But we also was humble enough never to look down on anybody. We were taught to never think more highly of ourselves and who we are. And so I have lifelong friendships of friends who may have not come from the exact same level of living or background that I'm from, but we are best of friends just because there was a greater connection that was there.
That's good. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you share that. And I'm grateful for my parents too, because they allowed us to be kids and walk in humility, so that we can be able to attract everybody, Paulette said that is good, Charissa. So that's good. So what is one of your fondest memories growing up as a child into now adulthood?
There's so many, and they're always flooding because my parents are not, they're not here any longer. So there's always these memories that, like, it's actually the memories that make me miss them, and that would make me emotional more than anything. But remember I said to you, no matter how much of a pastor, no matter how well known, no matter how profound, no matter what level my dad ever got to in life, he never muddied who he was first of all, as a father, as a man, as a family man. So family vacations was very important to him, therefore to us. Family time was very important to him. Dinner together at a table was very important to him. And so from I could remember myself to the day they passed, those things we did every year. Family vacations, family time, family dinner. And it was important for him because when he said your first ministry should be your family, he didn't only say that for people to hear on stage. No, he said that because he lived that. He realized that, man, I can't be saying one thing on stage, but I'm not doing the same thing with my family. My family is broken and destroyed, but yet I'm pretending on stage. No. So his family was strong, and he made sure he put in the time, he put in the effort. So I can remember fond memories of us just traveling every single year for vacation. I can remember he and my mom traveling for work, and taking my brother and I along, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And we just enjoyed the perks of traveling with them. You enjoy the food, you enjoy the people, you enjoy, while he's teaching, someone is taking us shopping, someone is taking us to ride a horse. Some like people loved him, they loved us as well. And so just traveling and seeing the world and being exposed to that, like those are memories that I treasure. And I treasure them so much that I've incorporated them now into my own new family that I'm establishing. That importance of the home and the family unit being the first priority.
That's good. So I'm so excited. Thank you for sharing that. So excited to have you join us. And for those, if you don't know who the lineage Charissa is talking about, is the great legendary, like she says, doctors Mal and Ruth Monroe. And if you don't know, you might have been sleeping under a rock, but you can go and look up. And I'm sure, I still listen to Dr. Miles' messages and everything almost every day on YouTube, and also the products and books. Yes, family is everything. So let's talk about this because we want to have a purposeful conversation tonight. So a lot of people talk about purpose, but can you give us your definition of purpose and why does it even matter?
So purpose is simple. It's one of those very simple concepts. And I think sometimes people can overextend it, but it's not a simple discovery, but it's not impossible. And so in its most simplest form, purpose is the reason for the existence of anything and anyone. And I also want to even go beyond that and say it is the reason for the design and the creation of something. Or in our case as human beings, when God created us, there was a purpose that he created us for. And the design comes from, in that purpose, now I'm going to design you based on what you were born to do. So if you want to make it simpler, purpose is the why. Why? Why are you here? Why were you born? Why was this phone created? Like, it is your why. Why you, Laquisha, what do you do? Why are you here? Why do you have world-class conversation? What is the purpose? It's the why. You wake up every morning. Why? I wake up because of a why. What is the why? It's the why that drives us. It's the why that I woke up every morning. I'm a social worker by profession. Okay. And I used to work at a hospital I did that for about 10 years, just helping different patients, linking them to resources to make sure that they can still have some quality of life, and just to kind of help them maneuver with their health and terminal illnesses. And I woke up every morning because of the why. I knew that my purpose was to help and assist them through their life until they have met their end. So every morning I woke up for that why. That was the why. And the why is the foundation for the how. It is the foundation for the when. And it is the foundation for the where. So you can't even answer where am I going. You can't even answer what can I do. You can't even answer the how can I do it until you have figured out the why. And so again, we can repeat that. Purpose is the reason, the original intent for the creation and design of anything or anyone. And in more simpler form, purpose is the why.
So for someone who is watching this and saying, you know what, I really don't know how to get down to the why, how is one able to discover their purpose and, dig deeper in that? Even so, at the beginning of the year, everyone is trying to figure out which direction they should be going in or what should they be doing. And I believe that all comes from knowing what your purpose is. But for someone who is watching or who may be watching the replay, what can you say to them in the steps in getting closer to what your why and purpose is?
And again, I say it's a simple concept, but it's not necessarily, it's more of a sophisticated way of getting it. It's not just an easy, what do you think about? People think about, people say, well, what do you think about every day? What do you dream about every day? That's only part of it. The other part of that is what makes you angry. What makes, when you see it, you get like to your core, like, man, this really bothers me. The other part to discovering your purpose, and one of the things that I have to understand, I have to get people to understand, is the discovery of a why for anything is always to go back to who created it. Okay? So my phone is an iPhone. Yes? Steve Jobs is no longer here. So I cannot go to Steve Jobs and say, why is this phone created and what can it do? However, my phone came with a book. Steve Jobs decided that, okay, I can't talk to the billions of people that's going to use my product to tell them why it was created. So let me put everything that's been in my mind in a book or a manual, and I'm going to put it with the product. If they have a question, they're going to go to this product. If they want to discover what this little button is down here, they go and read the manual. If they want to discover what this light mean here, they go to the manual. If they want to discover what this little circle is, they go to the manual. Like, it's that simple.
Right.
Why? Because they want to know, man, what is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this light here? So you want to know, boom. You know what? Don't make no sense asking me. Don't make no sense asking Ford. Let me not ask an Android device, because they're only going to give you their opinion. But if you want fact and if you want truth, then you need to go and read the manual. So when my dad says, if you want to know how to operate anything, go to the manual.
Yep.
And like, for me to say anything different, because it's just going to sound like coming from me, it's going to be unnecessary, because truth is truth. And so we go to that manual and we get exactly what the purpose is. And so now when you want to now know why you were created as a human being, who created you, and what you were created to do, then we also have a manual. And so you want to get connected. You want to make sure that you are connected to the person or the creator of a created. And that's going to help you to understand your why. So we learn that the reason why each of us is created is we're supposed to dominate, we're supposed to subdue, we're supposed to lead. Yes? Now, we are all made differently. We all have different gifts. We all have different potential. All of that is embedded in our why. So your how and your what, Laquisha, and your when is going to be different from my how, and it's going to be different from my when. But your why is going to also be different from my why. So I can't ask you, man, what do you think my why is? And so sometimes our why is also connected to what we are always doing. It's also connected sometimes to, as a child, what did you get in trouble for?
Mm-hmm.
So I think about, a lot of people use Oprah as a very good example. What do you think Oprah got in trouble for at school? When she was a student back in high school or elementary, what do you think Oprah got in trouble for?
Talking.
Exactly. Yeah. And so she then later realized that, man, I enjoy talking. And Oprah gets paid high dollars to do exactly what I promise you that she loved doing. She did it when she was a child. She got in trouble for it. And now it is paying her. So what do you do that not only you do all the time, you're always thinking about, you're dreaming about, but what were you getting in trouble with? Some people, some child may have been getting in trouble a lot because he was always pulling together his trucks. You gave him a car, you gave him a toy, he was always dismantling it. He would always break it apart. And he was getting in trouble for that. Well, there is something to that. That could be the next engineer. That could be the next car repair. That can be the next doctor of technology. I mean, there's just so many reasons and so many things that can point you in the direction of, man, this is my why. One of the things I always loved to do was you give me blood and I'm there. You you give me fast, quick in the hospital, in the emergency room, and I'm there. Like I enjoy just that fast pace. Someone is hurting, there's been a trauma. I want to see the blood, I want to see the guts, I want to see you put it get together. And so I did that. So when I was volunteering as a 13, 14-year-old, I did the emergency room. And then I wanted to get involved in, man, how can I help someone who has been burned or someone who is sick or someone who was ill? And so I did that for a while. I went off to college and I realized, man, I really enjoy helping and talking and serving people in the hospital or those that are ill. And so I did exactly that. So I became a solution to a bunch of problems for patients in hospitals, but I was still doing what I love by talking and communicating with them. And so I realized what my gifts are, what my weaknesses were, what my strengths were. And I know that I'm supposed to be leading and dominating in that area. And so there's all of these things that can help you to discover and then define what it is. But over time, I've defined my purpose. Over time, also, God has used certain circumstances to help me define that. It has evolved. So my purpose hasn't necessarily changed. It has definitely evolved. So, prime example, before 2014, I was fine operating and functioning in my purpose as a social worker behind the scenes. Okay? Behind the scenes, helping my dad, or behind the scenes as a professional social worker, helping my dad in ministry, just making sure that he was able to be a gift. And I was fine doing that. And then 2014 happened. They passed away. And then I picked up the mantle. We are continuing this legacy. And all of a sudden, there's a spotlight. And so it has, I'm going to use this word loosely. Now I'm forced to now be the same social worker, the same helper, the same servant that I was, just on a different and higher platform, doing the same thing, just the how and the when and the levels have changed. It has evolved. And that's what should happen over time. Like as you grow, as you become more prepared for certain levels of your purpose, like you will evolve and it will evolve.
Wow, that is so good. Evolution is key because you're going to evolve. And like you say, you know, they left and passed the baton to you guys. And now you are now creating and forming that legacy. So that leads me to my next question. Your vision is to promote a world where you love yourself and others, act from your heart, and lead by serving your gifts. How can individuals do more to promote just that? What your vision is?
Love, act, and lead. I'm going to try and say this as simple and quickly as I can. So love is important because I can't love people any more than I love myself. Okay? And so that's why I talk about loving me just as well as loving others. But it starts with me loving me. It starts with me loving even somebody greater than I. And then I can love you. Because if I love me, I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to make sure that my cup is always full. I'm going to make sure that I'm bettering myself. I'm going to make sure that I'm advancing myself. Once I do that, then I'm able to love on others. I'm able to help others. I'm able to assist others. I'm able to give from a filled cup. And not only a filled cup of foolishness, but actually a filled cup of substances that are actually going to work. But that requires me loving me. Then I can love you. Once I love me, once I love you, once I've taken the time to learn me, then I can now work with you. That I can now do the work. I can now put in the action that's needed to help, to be a solution, to serve, to provide for others. But that requires action. And so action is so important because sometimes people do a lot of this, sitting down in their on at home, but they never actually come out and live life with people.
Mm.
Sometimes people appreciate you living life with them versus just telling them what to do, versus just telling them you should do this, but they never see you. They never see you in the trenches, especially when you're talking to people who may be mentally ill, or you're talking to people who are poor mentally, poor physically, poor resourcefully. You're sitting in your money, and I don't have any, but you're telling me all I have to do A, B, and C, but you don't really understand where I'm coming from. And so, for instance, my brother and I have a foundation that allows us to get in the trenches with people and actually physically touch and pull them up, physically touch and come to where they are. Like, it requires humility to actually act, because act requires you getting dirty.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Act requires you getting uncomfortable. Act requires you doing something that you really may not really want to do, but it's easier for you to say it. And so I'm that person. Like, I want to be in the emergency room. I want to be in countries that are third world and there's poor. I want to be hugging a child that's just dirty as ever. But that I know that, like, I want to be doing that because that's what makes me happy. But I want to encourage people, don't just talk. Don't just be all talk and no action. You'll be surprised how just a hug, just a touch, just a presence can actually save the life of somebody one day. Which leads me to leading. And sometimes one of the best ways to lead is by example. One of the best ways to lead is understanding yourself enough to know that if I don't understand me, I can't understand you and I can't work with you. And actually leading with serving your gift. It's serving is literally you putting in the work, is you showing up, is you understanding what your gifts are and then staying in your lane. I cannot sing. Well, let me take that back. I can sing in a choir where my voice is probably going to be masked. I can sing in the shower, but I'm no Beyonce. I'm no Jennifer. I'm none of that. So I'm not going to go there thinking that I have that gift and serving that. No, I'm a responsible leader enough to know that, man, my gift is exactly what I said it is, exactly what it is. And I'm going to stay in that lane and I'm going to be the best leader in that gift to excellence that I can. But it takes a responsibility to do that. And so loved, act, lead.
That is so good. I know you guys are getting a lot out of this so far. I mean, we have people, watching from Jamaica, the Bahamas, Belize. I mean, just all over, and getting this empowerment. I hope you guys are taking your notes as I am. I believe that, you need to take notes. Great leaders are note takers. So let's go into this question. As it relates to where we are today, we have come through Hurricane Dorian, the pandemic, social injustice, the virus. How would you encourage others? Because I know you have a segment where you also talk about overcoming in challenging times. How would you encourage others to overcome in these times that we are in today?
So you listed a gamut of things right just now. So the pandemic, about a year ago or so was Hurricane Dorian that affected the Bahamas and so many other countries, social unrest, injustice, the virus, just there's a lot of crises going on.
Yeah.
Right now. That's affecting everybody and it's affecting everyone differently. And so for the sake of time, a few things that I'm going to mention. One, learn to manage your feelings and your responses to any of these crises. And I think that's where, I'm using the word crises because crisis is one of those things that you can't avoid. Sometimes you can't, they're not expected. You can't change them. So they require, they're going to require two things, a response. And your response is going to be so important. They also are going to require Like you're going to have feelings and emotions towards any of these things that we just mentioned, whether it was directly because you were really affected by it directly, or whether it's indirect. You have family member, you have friends that that have been affected, and so there's this domino effect. But managing resources and managing your responses is going to be key, and those two things are and managing your feelings and emotions. And those are going to come from perspective. And I did a whole talk on perspective a couple of months ago because sometimes, we talked about the evolution of your purpose and the evolution of you. It's the same way, just how the world changes. Like if we can't be in a changing world and we don't want to change, we can't go into tomorrow with yesterday's problems. We can't go into tomorrow with yesterday's mindset. And so if you see the world is changing, like it only makes sense to change your mindset as well. Number two, adapting. Like you have to be, and that comes with perspective as well, being able to adapt to the different changes that are occurring in your life directly around you. It doesn't make any sense trying to live, like we have all gone through 2020. Yes?
Yes.
I don't even know if the world or life will ever be the same as it was in 2019. So if you want to get stuck in 2019, in 2021, having gone through 2020, you're going to be sorry. So some of these things require just a little bit of common sense and wisdom. And I know I am not forgetting the grief and the loss that people would have gone through. Okay, I've been there. My crises in my 2020 was 6 years ago. So I know what it is to have to do exactly what I'm telling you. In a moment of, I am feeling like I want to die myself because I can't deal with this. But I had to manage that. And then I had to manage my response to that. And then I had to adapt. I had parents in 2014. In 2015, 2016, I didn't have any parents. What in the world? I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't ready. But I had to manage my feelings and emotions. I had to manage my response to that. And then I had to adapt to that change. And then I had to decide, okay, so there is legacy to continue. There are businesses to continue. There is a whole investment my parents have built. And there's a whole enterprise they have built over these years. What am I going to do with that? So now I have to become a solution to what can very well be problems. Or I can decide, you know what? There are these problems going on. We listed a whole bunch of problems just now. Hurricane Dorian, COVID-19, the injustices, social unrest, like those are problems. Yes? Mm-hmm. Now I can decide that, okay, I'm going to allow that to affect me, or I'm going to employ, which part of these problems can I be a solution? Mm-hmm. Where can I fit in? What part of my gift, what part of my how and my what can I do? Can I actually apply as a solution to these problems? Because that will allow me to, even though I may be hurting, I'm also getting some kind of joy and some kind of excitement, because even though I'm hurting, I'm actually helping somebody. I'm actually solving a problem. And even though you may be solving a part of the problem, but it's a part of the puzzle, when you think about the bigger picture and the bigger vision, like you solving that problem and you having that piece of the puzzle is so important. Why? Mm-hmm. Because there's going to be 10,000 different people that have their different pieces of puzzles, that when you bring it together, you literally have this completely solved problem.
Wow, that's good.
But it starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with one. And so, yes, what solution can you be? What problem can you solve around this time? And where can you help? Sometimes it's volunteering. Sometimes it's just being somebody's light in a moment of darkness.
That is so good. I love what you said about perspective and also adaptation, because there's so many things, just like what happened 6 years ago, which the world saw and the world stopped. We can't even put ourselves in your position. But even with these new things, these things that are happening, the worst hurricane ever, a pandemic, a lot of us were not here in the 1800s when those other, in the early 1900s, when those other viruses came about. So we are all experiencing something new. And I know one of my online mentors, Wayne Dwyer, I said that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So I would always tell my clients, I said, you know what? We are all going through something, but like you said, perspective, everyone else, we are all in this together, but all of us are not experiencing the same things. So I love when you said that we have to now adapt and make the necessary adjustments so that we won't get stuck in 2019, 2020 and move forward, because we are now in 2021. So thank you so much for sharing that. So now I know, as we're on top of the hour already, I mean, feel like we're just getting started. When it's good, it's just good. So tell us, you have a 31-day devotional journal that you are releasing or have released already. Tell our audience about that and why they should check it out.
I do. So back in 2017, which was just 3 years after my parents passed, for those 3 years, I managed my emotions, managed my feelings, and managed my response to that tragedy that my brother and I had gone through. And also, I had been managing my grief and my loss while also doing my work, whether I was on someone's stage or working at my desk at the hospital. And so people would always ask me, and like, how are you able to still stand up and talk and not cry? How are you able to laugh and, knowing what I'm going through?
Please tell us.
I said, so I would tell them, I said, it's a strength that I didn't know I had, but it came from somewhere that it only could be God, or it was just these different things that I was applying to my life, or some principles that I was employing that was helping me. And so a very good friend of mine, she said, instead of just people asking you these questions and you're just telling them what to do, and you've got 5 different people asking you different times, why don't you just put it in a book? And so to make a long story short, I did exactly that. So I came up with the 31 principles that I had been and still are applying to my life that has helped to empower me over that frame of time and over this entire time. And empowerment is so important because sometimes we have the power, we just don't know how to use it. We don't know where to use it, or we're afraid to use it. And so I have been trying to, I empower my patients. When they say, no, I can't do something, there's nothing name can't. My dad used to tell us that all the time. There is nothing name can't. So I tell my patients, no, you can. You're just one, you don't know how to, or you're lazy. Let me help you. And so I would help them to do it. I never did it for them. And so this was literally a way of me empowering people to, if you follow these principles, they will help you to be able to do, to go from one level to the other. They would help you to, when you think you can't do something, you can. Some of these principles have literally allowed me to wake up in the morning. They have allowed me to be able to deal with stress of life, to deal with the grief, to deal with a painful day or a painful moment. And then you've dealt, I now have a certain level of work and professional life I didn't have before. And so there is this growth of businesses and I'm learning to manage, and it's like, it can be overwhelming. And so sometimes I had to learn to say yes, but I also learned to say no over the last 6 years. And so I even talk about in this book how just saying no is a principle and why. So the book comes with principles, and then it also has scriptures to go with them that has helped me. And then just, a way for people to just write down notes based on how they're feeling. And so this book is, I've been calling it a minor project because it really is just, 50 pages of just some principles. But my girlfriend, she said, no, she said, this is not minor. It is what you call it. And it's actually a major product because it came from you as a part of your work. And so I've been proud of this. It is available on Amazon. It's also available directly on my website.
And there, guys, you have the website there, and go and purchase that. Let me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I put it back? Got it?
Yes. Thank you. That is so good. So everyone knows you as the, inspirational, the motivational, the daughter of the, all the other things that you do, right? Tell us something fun about you. This is a fun segment where, tell us something fun that the audience may not know about you.
So it's one of those questions that sometimes you can't answer for yourself. So I'm sitting next to my husband and I'm like, hey, what's fun about me? He's like, what's fun about you? Do you mean what's funny? I said, no, what's fun about me? And so he was like, yeah, you have a sense of humor. I said, you don't even believe that. He said, but you do. He said, maybe not as me, but he said, I have a decent sense of humor. But I do enjoy, when I'm not having to be all professional and smart and intelligent. I enjoy just being a child at heart. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy doing, and I say childish things, but I think they're just things that keep you moving, things that are fun. So I'll put together a puzzle in a heartbeat right now. I will color. I also enjoy adventure. I enjoy fun. So I'm one of those persons where if it ain't gonna kill me, I ain't enjoying it. I want to skydive and bungee jump and zip line and go on a jet ski and just throttle all the way. That's me. I enjoy having fun. I enjoy laughing. I can sit in the midst of anyone that can tell a story that'll just make me laugh, and I'm gonna laugh till I cry. I don't need to go nowhere. I don't need to drink. I just like to have fun, and I love playing games. I believe in game nights, so my husband and I do game nights with the family, and I can do that for hours and hours and hours on end. I enjoy that with some good food.
Oh, listen,
let me tell you about 2020, eh?
What are your favorite dishes?
Man, and I love good food.
Yeah.
And usually I like anything outside of American. So I like ethnic food. So different types of ethnic foods and countries. Brazilian food. African is probably my favorite next to Bahamian food. Right. I love Brazilian food. I think American food can be very boring.
Uh-huh.
I love all of my Americans. If you're hearing me, this is not for you. I mean, this is not any disrespect to you, but I think the spices in your ethnic foods are amazing.
Yes.
Let me tell you, love food. And so now that I'm married, right, I find myself, you want to cook for your husband.
Right.
So I'm cooking all the time. So my cooking skills have evolved.
Mm-hmm. Okay, talk about it.
They've gotten better. Whether I'm feeding him or whether I'm feeding the family when they come over, everybody is like, oh, this is good. And I'm like, man, you guys are good for my ego. So yeah, we have all gained a few. In these last 12 months.
That is so good. And your husband, he seems like he is hilarious too and love to have a good time.
And he just need an audience. Please never send me an invitation to have. He just needs an audience, and he's going to have the food.
Wow. Yes, I know you guys can have a great time and love all of that. That is so awesome. And so how has the whole marriage life, because that's another evolution. That's another something you had to come into and So I mean, you have to do the cooking and,
And I'm thankful to my mother I'm thankful to my aunt. I'm thankful to, back then she was a housekeeper, and I'm thankful to a very good friend of mine that has taught me how to cook. So I've learned to cook from my mom straight on up to just different, and I love trying new things. That's one of the things that's important. At least it's important to him, and so it's important to me. Married life it's an adjustment, and this is me talking 5 months in. So, but it is a learning process, and I think anything that requires me having to learn, which means I'm always getting better, is exciting to me. Even in the midst of the challenges or the expectations or the unexpected, even in the midst of all of that, like the learning part of it is so worth it to me. And so yeah,
that's good.
Ask me in 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
I will. That is so awesome. I will definitely do that. Thanks for sharing something fun, because sometimes people will see us on social media and just a flyer or something and be like, do they even have fun? Or how do they balance? How do they have a good time? And I went skydiving. I do all of that crazy stuff. So
I did that last year.
For the first time, well, I did it for my 30th birthday. Now I'm coming up on my 40th, right? So I need to do it again.
So I did mine for so before we go. So skydiving was one of the things. My brother wasn't interested. My mother wasn't interested. But my dad and I are the same. Okay? We enjoy adventure. So that was one of the things that he and I were supposed to do together at some point in our life. And of course, that never happened. So I actually did it on Father's Day last year in honor of him.
Wow.
And so when I sent a text to my aunt and our former housekeeper that's what I was going to do, and they were not feeling it. But it was, let me tell you, it was amazing. I would do it again. You hear me? And it was like I was up there. I don't even think my husband knows this, but I was up there and I cried a little bit because I was on a small plane. So I think I just got a vision of what it must have been. I don't know. I had the whole vision of just my parents and what they may have gone through. And it was just kind of a weird feeling up there. And that I was doing it for him. And I said to myself, I said, man, Dad, this was supposed to be you and I, I said, and I'm going to do this for you. So I shed a little bit of tears before I jumped, or before he, because it was a tandem dive. So before he jumped, and I didn't have a choice but to, but it was nice. It was so funny. So when I finally hit the floor, I always wanted to do this. So when we finally hit the ground and he unbuckled me, I was like, land. I just kissed the floor. Oh, it was amazing. I would do it again.
Yes, I would. I tell people it's not so bad once you get up there. It's. I think it's the mindset of once you're going up, because everyone's like, you're going to jump out of a perfectly good airline ever. And I was like, yeah. But I also did a tandem jump, so I had no choice. My jumper, he said, we're going to jump at 3. We didn't reach the 3. We jumped at 2. I was like,
what was your height?
18,000 feet.
Okay, I think our highest may have been 14 or 16.
Yeah, we went 18,000. I did it in Vegas, but it was so beautiful when we got up there. And when he said it's time to now come down, I was like, no, I don't want to come down yet. So we just did like gliding, fun or whatever, because I love the crazy.
So I'm seeing these comments, right? Some of these people I'm aware of, like Laquisha and Yuri and Kayleen, and they are they're not interested. They're not. Come on, guys, we got to do this.
Well, Kayleen said she would love to.
She would, but believe it or not, Kayleen is a woman. I'm talking, but there are 2 men on here that I'm very well aware.
Yeah.
I want to call them by name who are not interested. Come on, Laquisha. Come on, Laquisha.
That's my brother, so I can talk about him, right? We would go on roller coasters and stuff like that. And Charissa, he would walk to walk the line, and when it's time to actually go on the roller coasters, he chicken out. He just will walk back.
Okay, so I would skydive all day long, but for some reason my stomach can't take roller coasters. Oh no, my brother and I are like, you put me on a roller coaster, I'm gonna break out into sweat.
What?
I'm gonna get nauseous. I'm gonna get dizzy, and I have to sit down for an hour. So when I go to amusement parks like Disney World and Six Flags and whatever, I know better than to get on a roller coaster.
Man.
So for a long time, I thought that skydiving would have given you the same feeling. So I was kind of apprehensive. And so my husband's like, no, it's not. It's not that feeling. And girl, let me tell you, it's the thrill of your life.
It is. It really, really is. It's so peaceful up there. I mean, it's like different. Like, I don't know, you have to explain it. I mean, experience it, guys. You have to experience it. Dury, you're next. 2021. Dury, you're next.
Come on, Dury. Let's do it.
Yeah. As we wrap up, this is such a good segment. As we wrap up, just share a message or something of hope for our audience tonight, so that they can hold and take on with them. So as we wrap,
my final words are nothing new. I'm just gonna say, to everything there is a season, and seasons never. If I can capitalize it in verbal, I would capitalize. They never, ever last forever. And so you may be in a season of your life right now that you think you're struggling, that you are at your wit's end. You are, you're met with challenges. You don't know which way to turn. You are like, I can't take this anymore. It is a season. And just like winter, spring, summer, and fall, they are seasons. Like, we go through them. They may last a certain amount of time, but they end. And the next season is always a better season. Like, we get winter, and then after so long, you're tired of winter, so you look forward to spring, and it's like beautiful. Then after a while, spring becomes summer, and it's hot, and then you just want some winter, and then winter comes, and it's like, oh, I just get to cool off. And so there's always this goodness in the next season, if we can survive the current season that we are in. So my dad always says, don't make permanent decisions in temporary situations. So don't make permanent decision in this temporary season of your life. Just do what you need to adapt to withstand the season, and look forward to the next season that's going to bring greater joy, that's going to bring sunshine, that's going to bring more love and support that's needed.
That's so good. And last, before we get up, I know people are trying to figure out how else they can purchase the book. What other projects are you coming up with? What's coming up for you? Could you share that and share how they can connect with you and follow you on different platforms?
So one of the best ways to connect with me, you have my website up, www.charissamonroe.com. And so from that website, the book is available. All of my social media links are available from the website: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My handle is Charissa Monroe 1, spelled Charissa Monroe 1, on all platforms. I try to be as active as I can. Sometimes we get a little busy, and plans are slowly but surely. I'm just like everybody else. I'm just kind of waiting and seeing how things are going right now. I had a lot of plans, a lot of things in the works for 2020, and 2020 has happened. And so when we are finally able to get back on our feet as a world, I have a lot of things prepared and in store for God's people. So just stay tuned. Stay tuned. I like I said, I tend to be as active as I can on social media and making sure that people are abreast of what I'm doing and where I'm at. But right now, I'm just, kind of watching the hands of time and being a help and a resource where and when I can. But as soon as we can travel and start moving around again, it's on and popping, boo.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have done it once more. Thank you for joining us here on the World Class Conversations with Laquisha and Friends. Join me here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Each week I have a special guest to bring you something empowering, something inspirational, something to help shift you and move you closer to your destiny. And we are all here to serve you and provide conversations that unite us and not divide us. And so until next time, have a great one. See you next Wednesday. God bless.